So good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We have today our first careers workshop session with our careers and advisor, Angela Kinglot. So she's going to be presenting for you today and about goal settings, and you have time as well to make any questions. And this is going to be a quite useful session, so feel free to ask any questions. So I would like to introduce my colleague Angela, please.
Good evening, everybody. So today I'm going to be talking about goal setting and introducing to you a different way of thinking about how you can set goals, and in particular, how you can set yourself career goals. And we're actually going to be working through a model called GROW. So I'm hoping that that will help you with any career goals that you have. If you put it through this model, hopefully that should help you, but that will all become clear as we move on. Okay, so first of all, I started thinking about the different types of goals that we have in our life, and actually we often have loads of different goals. So our career could be one of them. We might have particularly a goal in terms of our health. We might want to become extra fit, and therefore something like an exercise regime. Every new year I sort of make New Year's resolutions and I think I'm going to eat less and exercise more. That becomes a goal. But you know, it just depends how far you take these goals and resolutions, how you actually go about making them happen. How successful are we at achieving our goals? So there is actually a science and a strategy of how to accomplish our goals, and we're going to look at that a little bit more this evening. So first of all, what is goal setting? And it's a very personal thing. So what does success look like to you? And very specifically, what do you want to achieve? So you can either write down or just think about it at the moment, what you would like to achieve in terms of a career goal. So have a little think about that, and then we're going to return back to that later on in the presentation. So what would you like to achieve in terms of a career goal? If we're serious about achieving our goals, we need to ask ourselves quite a different question, and you may not have thought about it before quite like this. So we should really ask ourselves, what kind of pain do I want? Which sounds a bit scary, and you might be wondering, why am I actually saying this? I suppose what we could do, we could say, instead of what kind of pain do I want, what kind of effort am I prepared to put into achieving this goal? So we could swap pain for effort. And that's how we should really be thinking about our goals. How much effort are we prepared to put into them? After all, we all want to achieve our goals, but are we prepared to put the work in to reach our goals? So I was starting to think about Olympic athletes, and I thought the amount of effort and training that they actually put into achieving their goals. They have to complete grueling training, so it is actually quite painful for them. They do actually have to put quite a lot of effort. At times it could literally be physically painful for them. Hopefully our goals won't be quite like that. So I've got a couple of insights, and the first one is goal setting is not only about choosing the rewards you want to enjoy, but also what your goal will cost you in terms of effort. So as we just said, it's the amount of effort, the pain you're prepared to go through to get to your career goals. So there's a difference between goals and systems. Goals are useful for setting the direction that you want to move in, but systems or schedules are great for making progress. Your system or schedule will allow you to progress towards your goal, and your system or schedule will allow you to achieve your results. So they are quite distinct things, the actual goal itself and the way in which you're going to get there. So the second key insight of this presentation is Goals determine your direction, but systems or schedules determine your progress. So that is why we'll be talking about the GROW model in a moment, because I'm hoping that that will work as a system for you in terms of achieving your goals. So instead of just setting a deadline for your goal, set a schedule to achieve your goal. Use your schedule to work towards your goal consistently and focus on keeping to your schedule. So I think the clue really, and the big key to success, is to not expect too much of yourself. So we've got a popular phrase that we say about eating an elephant. And when you eat an elephant, you eat it gradually. You eat it in small chunks, in small bites. So that's how you need to be with your schedule. Your schedule for reaching your career goal. You need to break it down into small tasks. So the GROW model that I've been talking about, it actually starts with an acronym for GROW. So the G is the goal, the R is your reality, and the O is opportunities or options, and the W is what will you do. So the goal is quite self-explanatory. You think of the goal yourself, you've already got one in your head or you've written it down. The reality is it's all around your situation. So what is standing in your way of achieving that goal? What might you have to put in place for that to happen? And then what are your opportunities or options for you to get to that place? And then what is crucially important is the last one, what will you do? Because you can have schedules coming out of your ears, but unless you actually put your schedule into practice, then nothing is going to happen. So your goal is important, but what you will do is just as important. Otherwise, you will never reach your goal. So this is the model again. What do you want? Your goal. What's happening now to you and around you? So into this, you might need to factor in the fact that we are in COVID-19 and jobs are not as plentiful. Options, what could you do, or opportunities, what's actually out there for you, and what will you do? So earlier on, you identified a career goal which you would like to achieve. So if you've got that in your mind now, so I thought of, as an example, starting a job search. So let's just pretend that this is our career goal, starting a job search. So you would need to write down what's happening in your life at the moment. What could get in your way? That would be your reality. So for example, you might be working part-time and studying part-time. You might be bringing up 3 children as well. You could be a single parent. You could have other caring responsibilities. So these are your realities. These are the things that you need to contend with in terms of, you know, when you're thinking about your search for your job. And then options or opportunities. What could you do to achieve your goal of starting a job search? So these are some of the things that you might want to do. So for example, you could prepare an up-to-date CV. You could show that to me. You could decide what you need from a job. This is actually really very important. So you need to really think about the values that you have. And the values that you have, do they match with the values of the organisation that you're applying to? It might be that the company's ethics or the type of company that it is, their values, that might be really important to you. And if that is important to you, then you need to make sure you research into that. The actual location where you want to work, that could be very important to you as well. It might be that you want to stay in London. You might be able to work further afield. You might only be able to work part-time. You might want to take on a junior role, or you might be prepared and have previous experience plus your qualifications. So you might be able to look at something that is slightly more senior. The chances of somebody leaving a degree course and going into a very senior role are slim. if not, you know, non-existent, because usually your degree is the jumping off point for you. So your degree plus your experience that you have will decide where you start in any sector. Okay, most people, their degree is pretty much their starting point, and then if they've got other experience, that's great, then that will also help in their applications. That's why if you can get work experience, that's really, really important. So crucially, what's important is what you will actually do and when. So by that, I mean put together an action plan for yourself, and you can have different columns. So you could write down the activities that you need to undertake. So in terms of a job search, you could look at very specific sites. You could look at quality broadsheet newspapers. You need to find out when they're advertising for your particular sector. You could look at job sites online. You could look for an internship. All of these types of things, but you need to be very realistic in terms of when you're going to do it, how much time you're going to allocate to that task, and say to yourself, when is that actually going to happen? So is it going to happen today, tomorrow, this week, next month? And try and keep to that if you possibly can. So instead of just setting a deadline for your goal, set a schedule to achieve your goal, and use your schedule to work consistently towards your goal, and focus on keeping your schedule. So you could actually start your personal development planning today. This is actually what we're talking about, personal development planning. This is for you. This is for your career. This is what's going to happen after you've finished your degree. But what you need to be doing is looking and actually applying now. I know that might seem a tall ask if you've got all these things that you need to do. You're going to have competing demands. But actually, it's much better if you can even allocate just a small amount of time now to job search and the activities that we've talked about, rather than waiting until after everything is finished in terms of your studies. And try hard to stick to your schedule. So we have a saying, slow and steady wins the race. So I'm keeping to my analogy of Olympic athletes, and they might not be going slow and steady, but really that's what we need to do when we want to achieve our goals. We need to eat the elephant very gradually in small, manageable bites. Now, you're not without further help for this. So usually my working days are Tuesday and Wednesday. And on the slide here, we've got my contact details, and you can also book an individual appointment with me. I'm happy to talk to you about any career related issues. That could be CVs, personal statements, any of those kinds of things, anything really that's related to careers. Sometimes people are very nervous about attending interviews. I can do practice interviews with students, anything like that I'm happy to do. We're going to have a series of these workshops, and the next one is going to be on the 24th of June. And the one after that is actually the 1st of July. The 24th of June will be about writing your personal statement and writing CVs. And the 1st of July is about writing a LinkedIn profile, because actually LinkedIn is a marvelous way to look for jobs, follow companies, follow organizations. Then underneath in the blue writing, we've got our careers week for our business students, which starts from the 22nd to the 26th of June. And on each day, we're going to be talking live to different employers. And we're actually going to be offering 2 fully funded virtual internships to 2 DGHE business students. So that's a marvelous opportunity for 2 of our business students actually to do a virtual internship, and we'll be funding that. You won't be paid to do it, you will be giving of your time, but normally the company that arranges these internships charges the intern. They're actually charging DGHE we're paying for that for you. So this is a marvelous opportunity not to be missed, to actually gain experience in a field that you might be interested in working in, and then you can add all of that to your CV and to your LinkedIn profile. So it really is a marvelous opportunity. Okay, so that's the end of the presentation.